What's going on, guys? All right, I think this is gonna be the last video of the day because I've done like 8. I have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour across the mountain to do these videos, so I do a ton of them at one time. So I think this is gonna be the last one, but what this one's gonna be about is the Shadow Systems MR920, and it is the War Poet edition. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little War Poet sign right there. I've actually told myself that this year I'm going to try to go train with John Lovell somewhere. I really like John Lovell's videos. He seems to know a lot about self-defense, and he does go around the country teaching and stuff like that. And actually where he's at in Georgia is not that far from me, maybe 3 or 4 hours ish. So I'm going to try to go down there sometime next year, not this year but next year, and do some training with John Lovell if he doesn't come somewhere closer to where I'm at. So this is his War Poet design pistol. It is completely blacked out. It does not have like the copper barrel that a lot of the MR920s have. But what this is basically just a custom Glock. If you're looking to buy a Glock, you know, and customize it, you might want to look at something like this. These guns, I think, were $1,100 or $1,200 with an optic. The optic was already on it. I did call them and confirm they do Loctite these before they send them, and they zero them before they send them. So when you get this gun, as soon as you get it, put some rounds through it, make sure it's reliable, and you should be good to go. No wasting time, you know, putting on an optic. No wasting time with ammo sighting in the optic. They do all that for you. It comes with a blacked out rear sight and a tritium front sight. I do not believe, yeah, the optic is on. Let's see if I can get that in the camera. Maybe not. I'm having a problem. You can't see it. I can see it in the camera, but there it is. You can barely see it. I don't know. Had a hard time doing that. But it does also have a fluted barrel, which helps dissipate heat. The slide is very well cut. It does have 2 small windows right here. And for press checks and just racking the slide and stuff like that, it is very grippy. You can get a good grip on this slide. I also want to show you the texture on the grip is pretty amazing. And this thumb ramp right there really aids in reducing recoil. The trigger, let's look at it. It does have an upgraded trigger in it. You can see the take up here, way smoother than most Glock triggers. When you hit that wall, there's your brake. A little bit of mush in the brake. Oh man, you've seen that. It didn't. Let's try that again. There we go. I actually rode the slide home. If you let go of it, it doesn't do that. Reset, right there, short reset. That was actually my fault. Don't have a ton of rounds through this. I may just have like, I don't know, 20 or 30 rounds through it. I've had this gun for quite a while. I just never did a video on it. So it still needs to go through its break-in period. But I'm going to give you basically my first impressions because it's been a long time since I shot this gun. A long time, because I've had it for probably a couple years at least. And I do have a TLR 7A on it because I put lights on all my guns. One thing about this is you can actually change the position of the gun with the back straps. You can get like a different grip angle with the back straps. Unlike Glock's back straps, which just makes it fatter, this one actually adjusts the grip angle. So it comes with like 3 back straps, I think it was, and you can adjust it like a Glock angle, a 1911 angle. You know, you can get several angles out of it, and you can play with that and see which one is more pointable for you. I believe I'm on the 1911 angle. I can't remember, but that optic is just right there when I pull it up. Again, I've said this before, you usually have to train with an optic to be able to do that. Optics usually don't just pull right up when you do that. But grip angles can help you with that a little bit. I picked this up from Sportsman's Guide, I think it was. I think that's one of the only places you can actually get the John Lovell edition ones. So I did order it from there and had it shipped to my FFL and picked it up, like I said, a few years ago. They do already go ahead and like double undercut these, which I do like on my Glocks as well. I do like that. I do like the threaded barrel since I do have suppressors. I can utilize that threaded barrel. And if you don't run an optic, you should, because optics are the way of the future. And just a heads up, turn this crap off right here, because if you run a white light and at night you hit that white light, the solar part of this cannot tell how bright it is out there, and it will not illuminate the reticle light bright enough. So what I usually do is I get out in direct sunlight, I turn that reticle up to where I can see it, and that is where I leave it. And then I just change my batteries, you know, every few months just to make sure that my battery doesn't go dead. Don't like the solar part of it. It's cool. It's a cool thought, but I don't like it just because it can't pick up downrange lighting whenever you're using that white light. So it also has the shake awake feature as well, which I do like because that does help with battery life. A lot of people will dog out Holosun because it's made in China, but let me tell you something. I've never had an issue with a Holosun, ever. So I am going to continue running them. I do have Trigicons as well, RMRs, but I do like the circle dot better, so I will continue to run Holosuns. Let's put some rounds through this, see how we like it, because it's been a while and I can't remember. It does utilize Glock mags, I will tell you that. You can just use standard Glock mags with these, which is what I'm actually using now. It does come with a Magpul one, but I use a Glock one. Also, I read some things that the mag releases would fail on these periodically, and I didn't want that to happen, so I also put a factory Glock mag release in it, and that is really the only upgrades I've done to the gun from the way it comes. Light, mag release, and I use a standard Glock magazine. Okay, so we had a click. As y'all heard that click, it's a live round, and I did just reset the trigger. So we're going to click it again and see if it will fire this time. No, dud round. We do have a dud round. Not the gun's fault that I know of. We'll check it on the next round. So don't want to really... It does look like the primer was hit. It just did not fire. We're just using Winchester white box. I've never really had a big problem with that, but let's see if it's something to do with the gun or something to do with the primer on that round. Okay, we locked open here. Everything run fine. That was the round's fault. That was not the gun's fault. The gun ran perfectly fine. I'm gonna take it down here and show you what I was doing. I always do that. I don't know why. I never actually try accuracy on the first shots, but the trigger was pretty nice, I ain't gonna lie. And everything is right here in old dude's head. Right there. So accuracy on it is phenomenal, especially with some fast shooting there at the end. Everything in the middle was my slow shooting, and then I sped up, and we still kept everything in head, and looks like he lost a tooth. So I'm gonna load up another magazine. We'll put a few more rounds through it. I'll give you my final thoughts. Essentially, it is a Glock. I've shot a ton of Glocks, but it is an upgraded Glock that you can actually change the grip angle on and get different grip angles. It does come with a steel guide rod as well. You take it down the same as a Glock. You still have your takedown pins here. Like I said, it does have an aluminum trigger, and some Glock parts fit, as we see right here with the mag release. Let me load another magazine. We'll put a few more rounds through it. All right, another magazine loaded. Put a few more rounds through it. I'm just gonna aim at the gun the guy's got in his hand and just see how we can do with that. All right, let's go see how we did. I got a little low on some of them, but I'm pretty sure his gun probably still ain't functioning, even with some of them being a little bit low. And I wasn't shooting extremely slow. I'm still in probably like a 3 or 4 inch group, shooting 10 yards. Not trying to be the most accurate I've ever been, just trying to hit his gun, and we achieved that. Don't ever do that in a self-defense situation. Don't shoot with the gun. Bad idea. I just give me something smaller to aim at. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is what I usually do, I'm gonna throw up some shooting C's. I'm gonna put a few rounds through the gun to try to get used to the trigger, and then we'll be back after I get a little bit more used to that trigger, and we'll see what kind of accuracy we can get out of the MR920. Okay guys, didn't take me long to get used to this trigger. I mean, it is essentially a Glock nonetheless. I mean, it does have a little bit of an upgraded trigger, but it's still essentially a Glock. So I've shot thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds through Glocks. So this just feels better in my hand than a Glock, and it shoots a little bit better than a Glock. I do want to say it has a longer beaver tail, which actually helps reduce recoil just a little bit. So I do also want to say this. When they send this, they sight it in at 25 yards, which is fine. At 10 yards, I'm shooting a little low. So I'm having to aim at the top of the target to kind of get it to hit the bullseye, which is fine. I'm not going to mess with that because there again, they sighted in for 25 yards. So at 25 yards, this would be on. So, but I am going to actually go ahead and tell you guys, I will make that compensation when I'm aiming the gun. That adjustment, in other words, when I'm aiming the gun. But I do want to tell you guys, I will make that adjustment when I'm actually aiming the gun downrange. And so if you're shooting closer, now it is a 3-inch shooting C, and I'm shooting towards the center. I'm still hitting the bottom of the shooting C, so it's plenty enough for combat accuracy. If you needed this in a self-defense situation, don't think I've got to aim, you know, 1.5 inches high to hit the center, because it's if you're shooting for the triangle here, maybe, but in a normal self-defense situation, you are plenty enough accurate with this. You're within 1.5 inches of where you want to hit like that with a 25-yard sight in, but we do all our accuracy tests at 10 yards here. So let me get eyed and eared up, and we'll do 5 shots downrange like we normally do. We'll see what kind of accuracy we can get. Glasses are starting to fog up, getting hot. All right, guys, let's go look at this. Pretty happy with that. Ain't gonna lie, pretty happy. Not one ragged hole, but most of them was in a ragged hole. So this is 3 shots, and here's your other 2. So plenty accurate. I was aiming about right here, and I probably come down a little bit is what happened right here. With this one, I was off. With this one, I probably dropped my sight down a little bit. If I'd have been up more higher, that would have been in there with the other 3, but you have 3 here, 2 here, on a 3-inch shooting C. I'm pretty happy with that. So with that being said, do I suggest buying a MR920 or recommend buying an MR920? Certainly, I really do. I recommend buying one of these. It's a phenomenal gun. And for what you're getting and the upgrade you get with this firearm is very well worth the price you're paying, because if you buy a Glock and you have all the stuff done to it that you're doing this, you're going to probably be in it twice as much as what you'd be in a Shadow Systems. Now I know that a lot of you all have seen the Shadow Systems CR920, excuse me, the smaller version, and they had some issues with that. I think it was the barrel or something like that, but they replaced all the barrels. They stand behind their product 100%. I've not heard anything bad about the MR920s, and I probably put, I don't know, through this gun total right now, I'm 100, 120 rounds-ish, maybe 150 with what I put off camera, and I've not had a single hiccup, and you wouldn't think you would out of a Glock style pistol. There again, 2 thumbs up to the MR920. I do like the War Poet edition better because it's blacked out. I'm not a blingy person. I don't like those blingy barrels and stuff like that. So I do prefer like something like this over that copper barrel. But if you don't want this and you are a blingy person, they have them with them copper barrels, which doesn't look as bad as the titanium nitride barrels, in my opinion. If you have a titanium nitride barrel, I'm sorry, I own one too. Not a big fan of it. Don't like gold. Just my personal opinion. But I do highly recommend the MR920 because it is a great pistol, and for what you're getting, best bang for the buck out there probably, if you're looking at upgrading Glocks. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.